Hello there, all you bucketheads, and welcome, all you Jedi, to another episode for Light and Life, to another episode of the most disorganized podcast on the internet. If you like what you see here today, of course, don't forget to like, comment, share, and of course, subscribe to Under That Helmet podcast. Leave us a comment below telling us if you've read The High Republic, what you think of it, and why you think other people should read The High Republic. Also, don't forget, follow us on Instagram and join the Discord. Links are all in the down there below. Remember, we are all the Republic. So, why should you read The High Republic? That's a great question. I'm so glad you asked.
You just spouted a bunch of space wizard rhetoric and phrases at me. I am so wildly lost, but I'm intrigued.
Okay, so let us start with the obvious, and that is I want to talk a little bit about Jedi Survivor, and I want to talk about an upcoming show called The Acolyte. So, First off, Jedi Survivor introduced us to the character of Dagan Gera. And it is shown through the backstory of Jedi Survivor, Dagan Gera was a Jedi from the High Republic era. You can see him wearing the white and gold temple robes. He's got a yellow lightsaber. There's a lot going on with Dagan Gera. There's a lot that goes on with him and his connection to the Force, which I think I would love to see explored further.
Mm-hmm.
There is also the fact that we're going around a lot of High Republic temples and outposts. And there's also a lot of High Republic connections in some of the mainline Star Wars comics, like Luke Skywalker took a lot of inspiration from the High Republic. Oh God, not Ride the Storm. Oh God.
What is Ride the Storm? What does that mean?
That's the Nihil. That's the Nihil's battle cry.
Oh, okay.
We'll get into that. We'll get into the Nihil because they're actually one of the things that pleasantly surprised me about the High Republic. So I want to talk about the Acolyte. So the Acolyte's coming out soon. And
nothing about it.
We know almost nothing about it, which is great. But the thing is, because of us knowing so little, except for true High Republic fans, like there's so much that they can't show us because High Republic fans will be like, "Oh, that gives it away."
Oh, interesting.
Because that's how I've learned that High Republic fans are very, very good on their lore, and
they're book nerds. So like, Callahan, I didn't think you would be able to join us tonight.
Welcome, welcome, my friend. So, let us start. I think you should read the High Republic because number one, it gives you a really good idea of what is to come from the future of a lot of Star Wars content, especially with the Rey Skywalker movie, the Dawn of the Jedi, the Sacred Jedi texts. I do believe are going to have some High Republic stuff in there, just because this is kind of the era of switching from more primitive means to a more digitalized galaxy. So right now there's two phases of the High Republic out: Phase 1 and Phase 2. I have only read from Phase 1, so we're going to primarily focus on that. If you would like us to do a follow-up once I read Phase 2, let me know. I have not read all of Phase 1. I have mostly stuck to the books, but I have dabbled in the comics a little bit, and the comics tell a completely different story than the books. Okay. Similar, some of the characters, there's a lot of overlap between characters, but they switch back and forth, and I think that's really interesting and really cool. So, Star Wars really wants to bank on the Marvel phase ideology. Yeah, in a sense. And now Phase 3 is coming out, and I believe the first book of Phase 3 drops in November, if I'm not mistaken. And so basically Phase 1 takes place about 100 to 200 years before the Phantom Menace. I think it's 200 years before the Phantom Menace, but it takes place a good time before the Phantom Menace. And Phase 2 takes place 150 years before Phase 1. So what's really neat about that is that you get to see all these different factions of the Force. You see different Force religions. You get to see the Jedi Order sort of grow. we were talking kind of in the pre-stream, and you had mentioned that you kind of heard that the Jedi were like marshals.
Mm-hmm.
You want to clarify on that a little bit more?
Yeah. So the last thing that I remember of the High Republic was back when the first announcement about it was coming out. We were, just getting these. What is it?
We were seeing concept art and
Yep.
teasers, and
I think they showed off the very first of the. So they gave us this. They gave us this book cover, and this was like all that we had of the High Republic era. It was like this picture and then a couple other little pieces of art that we had gotten.
right, they would release like character sketches, so you had an idea of like what different characters look like.
Yeah.
And they were kind of the basis for the comics. So one of the things I really like is that the High Republic Jedi, for example, so the Jedi in this era all perceive the Force in different ways. There's a lot more creativity amongst the Jedi. There's a lot more flexibility. Like there are points in multiple different stories where Jedi embrace the dark side, and they're not cast from the Order. They're not like, oh, you're evil now, so you die. It's like you had a bad day. Let's work on that. So, for example, I don't want to give too much away, but there's three, like there's three. I don't want to say main. There's a lot of Jedi that we follow, but there's one trio in the book that were, for example, in Light of the Jedi. There's like a Jedi, like three Jedi. These are Elzar Mann, who is the guy with the blue lightsaber. There is Avar Kriss, the woman with the green, and then if you hop over here, the guy with the crossguard is Stellan Gios.
Yes, the one who like all of the lightsabers are out there of, and you can get their lightsaber as one of the little dangly bits in Squadrons. I like Squadrons.
It's cool. It's really cool. So, and basically the story. So basically, the first book centers around something called the Great Disaster, which is two ships collide in hyperspace, and that is the very beginning of the book. And at first, I wasn't sure how I felt about it because it felt very disorganized to me. But one of the things you learn very quickly in the High Republic is that no one is safe. Everyone can die.
So this is just Star Wars Game of Thrones. Everyone's fair game. You have nothing saving these characters. There is no original trilogy that comes after Andor. There is no, none of that. Anyone can die at any point.
It's a lot less violent than Game of Thrones, but yes, it is that similar point. Like there are moments where characters are in genuine, real danger, and like there was an example in one of the books where there's one character that was introduced in that book, and I'm like, oh yeah, he's gonna die. And I had known through like other media that like there were other like named Jedi that were in like this book and that comic, and I'm like, okay, these guys are gonna survive, obviously. And then two of them die. And it is in a very gruesome way. And it's painful as a reader. Well, I listen to the audiobooks, but it's very painful to listen to. There is not a lot of plot armor. Now, if you've read so I read the main three books of phase 1. So go back, pull the slideshow back up.
Yep. Immediately as I put it away.
So I read Light of the Jedi, The Rising Storm, and The Fallen Star. And I will say, out of these three, they're all incredible.
Okay.
But I'm going to have to give Fallen Star as my favorite.
Okay. So it ramps up throughout.
Because it builds on so much. It ramps up throughout. Light of the Jedi does so much groundwork, and at first I wasn't the biggest fan of it because it had to do so much groundwork, but I was very appreciative for that groundwork later on. So without giving too much away, Callahan, there I guess you can kind of we'll kind of come back to the books and the Jedi, but there are these creatures that are there's multiple enemies and villains throughout that the Jedi have to fight, but there's this one creature which is called the Nameless, or they're called the Eaters of the Force, and they attack Force sensitive beings, only Force sensitives, and they overwhelm them with fear, and they basically incapacitate the Jedi and fill them with fear and dread and make basically like cause them to hallucinate, and like they'll try to like reach for their lightsaber but they can't, and they're just like frozen and paralyzed with fear, and then the Eaters of the Force will suck the life out of them and they turn to stone.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's what I mean by gruesome.
that's a horrific way to die.
It is. It's terrifying. New fear unlocked.
So they're kind of Star Wars vampires, because
In a sense, yes.
in traditional vampire lore terminology, traditionally vampires, have a paralyzing or hypnotic gaze that they would just focus in on the person and then come up and just drink you like a Kool-Aid pouch, and then you're dead.
Absolutely. And there are ways to escape them. Like there's a Jedi at one point that fights them and is able to survive the fight because he's disconnected from the Force.
Oh.
So the only way to fight them would to disconnect from the Force. But one of the things that I really appreciate about the Jedi of this era is that they're very connected to the Force. And it is so amazing to listen to, because for so many years and books, the Force has kind of just been like, it's there. But like the Jedi actively describe like how they're feeling, and like when somebody dies, the Jedi feel it. And like there's a scene in Light of the Jedi where the Jedi are trying to stop the hyperspace dust, like the hyperspace, like, things coming out of the container ship that blows up from crashing into the Hetzal system of planets. So, and there are scenes where like they're all connected through the power of one Jedi, Avar Kriss. She perceives the Force as like a great song. So part of her ability is to be able to link all of the Jedi together and is able to like help connect them. So now that the Jedi are all connected and they're talking with each other and they can commune with each other through the Force, and they can create bonds with each other. That's really cool. So I think that the High Republic Jedi have a better understanding of the Force than a lot of prequel era Jedi do. Where like, the prequel era Jedi use the Force as a tool, where the High Republic Jedi like it really adds to the mysticism of the Force.
Okay.
And I think that's really cool. And all of the Jedi talk about how they perceive the Force differently. And it's really cool because you get some really great analogies. Like Elzar Mann perceives the Force as like an ocean, which is something that I really related to. And I feel like if I was Force sensitive, I would also see the Force in that way. So like there's a point where he describes like being overwhelmed with grief, and it's described as like falling under the waves and drowning. And it's really cool. It's really great to listen to. And because of these Jedi's like higher understanding of the Force, they're able to accomplish so much cooler feats than the prequel era Jedi do. Like it's not just simply Force pushes and Force pulls, but at no point do you feel like they're overpowered.
Okay.
Which is one of my big criticisms of the Old Republic, is that all the Jedi feel overpowered all the time, and same with the Sith. And because these Jedi live in better harmony with the Force, they're able to do cooler things. Like they have cooler feats. And I think it's just really, really interesting. It really, for the people that are like, oh, the Jedi or this Jedi or that. No, the prequel Jedi are like that. High Republic Jedi are a different breed.
Mm-hmm.
And it really adds to the tragedy of the prequels because it shows how far the Jedi had fallen. Because Sidious would not have been able to manipulate the High Republic Jedi. I genuinely believe that.
Perhaps that is why the Sith were still in hiding.
Absolutely, because of the Jedi's connection to the Force. And the Jedi struggle with the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
But even if you have a brush with the dark side, you're not just like cut off, you're done, you're out. Like, they don't let it define you. Like, you know, like I said, the Jedi embraces the dark side, and instead of being shunned, he's embraced.
Okay.
And there are other times where Jedi, like, they police each other very well, where they're like,
Mhm.
hey, you're going too far. You're starting to start down a dark path. And it's just really intriguing and great to listen to.
I wish that Seer could have been there to tell Cal that in
Well,
Jedi Survivor.
and here's one of the things. So
I'm still not over that.
if you've read Battle Scars, which we did an episode on, by the way, so you should
did.
definitely check that out. But it's one of the things that Battle Scars mentioned, which really made me interested in the High Republic, is the fact that Seer is fascinated by the Jedi of the High Republic and inspired by the Jedi of the High Republic.
Specifically, so that one artifact that they like go out of their way to get.
The crown, yeah. I haven't seen that pop up anywhere, but
okay. I'm wondering if it will. It'd be cool if it did. I like.
There's also a lot of like links
mentions
in the main Star Wars comic where like Luke's yellow lightsaber gets damaged because they get stuck on the homeworld of the Nihil. The rebels do. And they have to break off. For those who are unaware, main Star Wars comic, Luke had a yellow lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's building his green one. It's coming in. It's coming in.
You had mentioned earlier when we were talking just how interconnected everything is within this era.
Absolutely. So there's books, there's comics, there's audio dramas, and in phase 1, it's all very well connected. Like, there are events that happen in other books that are referenced, but they're not referenced in a way that like sums up the whole plot. Mm-hmm. It makes you want to go and hear more about it.
Okay. And it's kind of like that was cool. I want to see the rest of that.
Exactly. Or it's like, this happened, and you're like, and it does it in a way it's like, and the detailed report of Padawan so-and-so, and it's like, okay, well, now I want to go back and I want to listen to that story and know what happened.
Report of Padawan so-and-so.
Yeah, like, okay, well, what I guess I could say. So there's one in particular in The Fallen Star where there's these two characters that were a part of the Nihil, but left the Nihil, who are the villains, by the way, and we'll get into the Nihil in a minute. But like, so basically, there's a part where one of these characters who's younger, right around the same age as the Padawan, Reath Silas, she manipulates him and then backstabs him. But it's not said what happens. It's just said that it happened. And now I'm like, okay, I want to read this story because I want to see how she manipulates Reath. And there's just so much that happens, and it's so interconnected. And then the comics and the books tell basically two different stories, but they come together so well at certain points. And there's like references of like Avar Kriss forging an alliance with the Hutts, which happens in the comics. And you get to see the full effects of that to fight this one enemy that the Nihil unleashed called the Drengir, which are like these sentient plants that just eat and eat and eat, and they like devour people.
Oh,
it's cool. And like then there's the Eaters of the Force, which I guess we can now get to who releases the Eaters of the Force, the Nihil. So the Nihil are these band of I basically kind of think of them as like punk rock space Vikings.
They seem like a cult.
They kind of are. So the Nile basically believe that they can take whatever they want and do whatever they want. And the Republic's law and order, which is being introduced to the Outer Rim, is preventing them from doing that. So the Nile are set up with like storm iconography as their base. So there are like your low ones, which are strikes, and then above the strikes are the clouds, and then above the clouds are the storms, and then there are the tempest runners, who are like the leaders of the different storms. So like each ship is called a storm, and each storm is under the command of a tempest runner, and there's 3 tempest runners, and they lead, and they all listen to the eye of the storm, who is called Mark. I've heard it pronounced 2 ways. I'm going to say it the way I want to say it. So the way I've heard it and the way I think it sounds sense is Marchion Row. But I've also heard it pronounced Marchion. I like Marchion better.
Okay.
So Marchion Row is the head of the Nile, and basically he has a grudge with the Jedi. It's not really revealed in what I've read what his grudge is. I know some of the other books detail it better. I have not read all of it. But Marchion has a grudge with the Jedi, and he's going to use the Nile to basically destroy, to take control of the Outer Rim. He doesn't want to rule the galaxy. Like, it's abundantly clear he doesn't want to rule the galaxy. He just wants to be able to take what he wants when he wants, and nobody stand in his way. And he views the Republic and the Jedi as standing in his way. So the thing is, the Jedi are, without a shadow of a doubt, stronger than the Nile. Like, anytime they fight face to face, the Nile get crushed. Because they're not all that powerful. They're just a bunch of punks. So it's really great to see the villains using asymmetric warfare and using tactics that like level the playing field, where they'll like disperse poison gas, or they will, send out the ears of the Force to disrupt the Jedi senses, and that's how they're able to sabotage efforts, or they'll like release the Drangir on a planet to distract the Jedi while they plunder and pillage, and they attack innocent people and stuff like that. It's really cool.
Okay.
But the head of the Nile is Marchion Ro. He is the leader, and over time you kind of see him consolidate his power. And there's a lot of like backstabbing and political intrigue, because like the Nile are very volatile. Like they're very much a might makes right kind of area, like kind of group. And Marchion is not the mightiest of them, but he's the smartest, and he knows that he can't necessarily keep the people at the Nile in line without the Tempest Runners. And the Tempest Runners are constantly like, why do we need Marchion? We can betray Marchion, or like, and then it backfires. And Marchion uses their desire to
overthrow
him to get them destroyed. I'm
intrigued. That is a very smart leader.
So, is this all the way before what's going to be the Dawn of the Jedi? No, it's going to be long after the Dawn of the Jedi. At this point, the Jedi Order is established. They have outposts and temples throughout the galaxy, and the main temple on Coruscant has been constructed. So no, this is not the Dawn of the Jedi.
I think Dawn of the Jedi is going to be like the very, very, very first Jedi.
Yes.
So like before literally anything else happens. Like that's going to be the very first piece of Star Wars lore we've ever received. I'm not going to lie, with Dawn of the Jedi, I would be genuinely surprised if we see a lightsaber in that film.
I think that might be one of the last things that happens, is they construct a lightsaber. Or they get drawn to a kyber crystal or something. But I want to hop back on the Nile because one of the things that going into the High Republic, I wasn't really the biggest fan of was
Mhm.
the Nile. I thought they seemed kind of edgy just for the sake of edge, and I could not have been more wrong. They are a truly frightening threat to the galaxy, and because all of this takes place in the Outer Rim, which is very unexplored at this time.
Okay.
And like there are like certain planets that join the Republic, but not all of them do. Or
So
like for example, Sheely, the planet that Ahsoka's from. There's a point in the second book, The Rising Storm, where the Queen of Sheely is meeting with the Chancellor of the Republic to try to talk about Sheely joining the Republic.
question.
Okay.
Now you mentioned the Outer Rim is largely unexplored. Does this mean there is no Tatooine?
I have not been to Tatooine. I don't think that there is Tatooine is explored in the High Republic. So if you want to stop going to Tatooine, read the High Republic.
I was going to say it seems like a lot of people are having a love-hate relationship with Tatooine recently. I think people are fed up with how often we end up going to that planet.
I get it. I get why it's there, but I do like the fact that I don't think we visited Tatooine yet. I could be wrong, but none of the projects that I have seen go to Tatooine, and I'm very thankful for that. And I'm trying to get back on my train of thought. So I'm very happy with the diversity of planets we see, and also the diversity of characters. One of the things I think Star Wars has struggled with a lot recently is an over reliance on human characters, which is fine, but like this is a cool galaxy, and I'm really happy we get to explore other characters. Like, for example, if you bring back up the title card, like look at the diversity in Jedi alone in this one title card.
We got a Wookiee, we got a Twi'lek, we have two humans.
The Wookiee is one of my favorites. This is Burryaga right here. Burryaga is the GOAT, okay? He is a Wookiee Jedi. He is a Padawan, and he has an incredible sense of empathy. That's like his Force gift is being empathetic. So it's really cool to see. Are we able to go back to back to this one real quick? We have a Twi'lek. We have an Umbaran. We have the same species as go back. What's her name that was on the council? The one that Savage Press killed. I don't know what species she is right now.
Adi Gallia. What is Adi Gallia's species?
Adi Gallia. I'm gonna remember later on. We have a guy who's the same species as Quinlan Voss. I think Tarek. This might be Tarek or Sarek. So there are twins that have a very special connection to the Force, and it's super interesting seeing them. They're mostly in the comics, but it's mentioned. They're both non-binary, and they're really cool. I really like them. And then you see Abrax, you see Trandoshans. There's actually a really good comic. I don't know if this takes place in the High Republic era. But there's a really good comic that actually no, it's not High Republic because Dooku's in it. But there is a really good comic that talks about a Trandoshan Jedi falling into conflict with a Wookiee Jedi. And the Wookiee Jedi has visions of the Trandoshan going mad. And they're like, oh no. So the Wookiee keeps attacking and harassing the Trandoshan, when in the end it's the Wookiee being the aggressor. It's a really great. It's in the most recent Yoda comic. And no, it's not the public era because Dooku's in it. But there is a Jedi Trandoshan named Skier, and he's great. He's such a fun character to to interact with.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, he is cool. He's mostly in the comics again, but the comics have some really cool characters.
Okay.
But I want to talk about Twilight Jedi over there is Loading Greatstorm. He's awesome. I want to talk about one of my.
You've mentioned his name a lot, so I take it he's one of your favorites.
He is pretty great, but I'm more of a fan of his Padawan, Bell Zettifar, right over here.
Okay, left, right, or center?
Is to the right.
Center oh yes, because middle is Stellan Gios.
Yeah,
I'm picking up names.
Bell
Look at
is
me,
one of the coolest characters. So not only is he's a Padawan, but he's constantly doing like Jedi Knight level shit as a Padawan and kicking ass. And part of his story is about overcoming grief and like overcoming loss, and that's very beautiful. And finding yourself and finding your center as a Jedi. But also, he has a pet dog.
He has an attachment.
But not an attachment. So the Jedi in this era have a very interesting philosophy on attachment. So it's not that attachments are forbidden.
Okay.
It's that you have to be mindful of your attachments. It's very much the Kanan Jarrus style of attachment. And I think maybe they go a little bit too far, and that might be part of their downfall. Who knows? Phase 3 has not come out yet, so we don't know how it ends. But one of the things that fascinates me is that a lot of the Jedi have attachments, and like there is a Jedi that actively like fucks, and it's like, hell yeah, you dirty dog. He got that dog in him. But there's also another part where he talks about being with another Jedi as a Padawan. When they were both Padawans, like they kind of like snuck off and like did stuff together. You know, we're 32 minutes in now. I can say it's like when you sneak off at like church camp and you go doing things you really shouldn't. Is that an
church camp? Dylan.
I've never been to a church camp. I don't know.
Oh.
I just assume that most people sin at church camp.
I don't know anything about church camp. I went to one when I was like 5.
We're better off for it. Oh. I did JROTC in high school though, and there's quite a few times where we'd go off on camps, and I had that dog in me.
Noted.
No, not like Kiadi-Mundi at all, because Kiadi-Mundi does it for procreation. This is totally different.
That's because his species is dying.
Yes, but like they're like he's the exception rather than the rule. Where like the High Republic Jedi, they know it's not about attachment, like because you can, get down and dirty underneath the covers without, getting attached. Ask your favorite hoe; they'll confirm. They can confirm.
Dylan.
But anyway,
my favorite hoe Jedi.
I thought back to the Nihil. I am. I thought the Nihil were gonna suck as villains, and I thoroughly enjoyed them. To bring it back on topic, and there are some really great side characters as well. Where one of my personal favorites is a man by the name of Leox Jossi. So he's a pilot who flies a ship called the Vessel, and he's your kind of like hippy dippy spiritual guy. Okay. But one of the best things about him is on his ship, his navigators is named Geode. And Geode is a rock.
The giant rock?
He's a Vintian. Yes, Geode. Listen, at first I thought Geode was a lot like the Nihil. I was like, oh man, like a rock character? Come on, man. What is that? How can I, Callahan? But
around,
at first I was like, oh man, a
That's
rock
fucking-
character, like, come on, dude, like, what do you expect from that? No, Geode is actively one of the funniest characters, and he doesn't do much. Like, there's a point in because he's like, I mostly read him in Fallen Star, but in Fallen Star, there's a scene where Geode is hitting on a man's wife, and the man is actively upset about it. He's like, that rock's hitting on my wife. And it's like, what? And then there's another scene with Geode, and there, the way they write him is fucking gold. Like, there'll be a point where they're like, they came out of hyperspace and saw the giant battle ahead. Geode sat there, stoic as ever. And they just assign, like, you never hear him talk. You never see him move, but he does. Like, there's one point where, like, somebody tries to shoot a baby, and then Geode is just there. Like, Geode blocked the shot. And it's like, how did you do that? He's the best. Geode is the best, okay? And, like, everybody meets him, and they're like, it's a rock. And Leox, who is just Matthew McConaughey in space. He wears a deep V-neck down to his pants. There is a point in one of the books, and like in the Fallen, you have, if this is the best argument I can make for the audiobook, listen to the Fallen Star audiobook because the reader sounds exactly like Matthew McConaughey. He's doing an A1 impression. And
Are
there
you positive they didn't get Matthew McConaughey to voice this man?
He wasn't in the credits, but there is a scene where he literally says, I shit you not. All right, all right, all right. And it is the best scene. I shit you not. It is incredible.
Oh my god.
It is great. It is worth the audiobook just for that. Audible, sponsor us, please. I want to give out a discount code for this.
Please. I also read books.
Audible, please. Audible, please. Give me money off while you're at it.
I also. So, would you say that you have a ton more to talk about?
Do I have a ton more to talk about?
I have a point that I want to bring up in favor of this entire era.
Bring it up. Let's hear it.
All right. I need to bring this back up. Where's my thing? There's my thing. Okay. Eli point for this era. I love the outfits for this era. Like, every bit of the High Republic era is nothing but pure drip. Specifically these robes. I fell in love with these robes the first second that I saw them. They are so pretty. I love them. I hate that the only set that we have them in is the little 4+ set for Young Jedi Adventures. That being said, Young Jedi Adventures is technically the first time the High Republic era goes to the big screen. So
I totally forgot about Young Jedi Adventures. You are right.
I did not.
Young
It's
Jedi
actually
Adventures
pretty good.
Is the High Republic. So all you people are like, ho ho ho, Anakin kills the younglings. Like, bitch, they're like 200 years before Anakin even existed. Okay, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up with your copy paste damn joke. It's not funny anymore. It was funny and shocking like the first time, but now it's just the same joke every time. It's like Young Jedi Adventures, ha ha ha, Anakin with the lightsaber. Bro, it's not funny anymore. It's not funny anymore. The joke is dead. It's deader than the fucking younglings. See, look, that's how you make the joke funny, bitch. Get fucked. But there is one more thing I want to talk about, and that is the Chancellor of the Republic. One of the few times a politician in Star Wars is not an asshole. Lena So, the Chancellor of the Republic. She's great. Okay? So just imagine. She gives me the vibe, okay? And I can't think of a female politician that I actually like in the real world that this would be an accurate comparison to. So I don't
think
want
that
you
I
to
can
think.
find a politician in the real world that I actually like, let alone one I can make a comparison to.
So I think of her like this, okay? Minus the corruption. Hillary, just imagine Hillary Clinton, but as a fashion model with 2 tigers as a pet, and that's Lena So. Like, Lena So gives me Hillary Clinton vibes, but she's actively trying to make the galaxy a better place. So she's instantly better. And that's as political as we'll get tonight. Hillary was a bad candidate. Anyways, moving on. So, Lena So. She's
They're
got
good
2
ones?
alien, like, basically tigers as her pets. They're called Targons. They're badass. But Lena So is like, hey, I want to build the Republic up. So she goes on this tour of something called the Great Works. And the Great Works are about showing the prosperity and the greatness of the Republic, not in like an imperial fascist way, but in a truly democratic, hey, join the Republic because we're cool way. Like, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but the little thing in the back corner, if you see it with the little light on top, that's called Starlight Beacon. And Starlight Beacon is the symbol of the Republic at this time. It is basically a giant space station used to help give aid to worlds that need it.
It's the Justice League Watchtower.
It is basically the Watchtower from Justice League. You are correct in that statement. When I pictured it in my head, I did not picture that art. I did, in fact, picture the Watchtower from the Justice League.
I don't feel like I'm wrong in
I pictured the watch, but it doesn't have a giant laser on the bottom of it. Okay. It is just genuinely like a cool and chill place. But it's like to showcase the greatness of the Republic. And then there's another great work called the Republic Fair, which happens in the second book that I read. Let me pop over to it real quick. Which happens in Rising Storm. Obviously, It does not go well because you can see the Nile on the cover. Also, did that one guy look like Kratos? Like, pull that back up.
One sec. I added something to it.
Doesn't bro right there look like Kratos from God of War?
I'm getting Kratos vibes. Yeah, like back of the head Kratos vibes.
Zeus. Okay. Yeah, Fallen Star. Is this how you face me, coward? Did you add it?
Come to my Justice League Watchtower.
But yeah, The Fallen Star was genuinely an incredible book. I finished it today, so it might be recency bias, but I gotta process that shit. Any High Republic fans down below want to help me get therapy? Hit me up because we gotta talk, man.
Okay.
That book was tough.
One sec, because I want to.
One other thing that I really want to talk about and want to give a huge shout out to is all of the authors for the High Republic, because and I guess listening to the audiobook, it's got the same narrator, Mark Thompson, who shout out to Mark Thompson. You did an incredible job on all of these books. You did such a good job narrating. Huge shout out to him. But I did not know that all these books had different authors until I went back and was doing the prep for this show. That is how well they wrote and how cohesive the story is. Like, each author has a little flair and like brings certain characters in that they want to write. But like, so for example, Bel Zettifar is in all 3 books and is written exactly the same. Like enough to show his character growth, but also written in a way that like really illustrates that like, yeah, he's the same character. Same with Stellan Gios, same with Burryaga, same with Stellan wasn't really in the first book that much that I remember. But like Elzar Mann, same. Like, they're all written very well, very cohesively, and like it's just incredible. Like, huge shout out to these authors. They worked their ass off. And the comics I heard are very similar. but it's just great overall.
I also wanted to bring up. I do have a picture of our chancellor. This is her.
Yeah.
You said tigers. I was expecting a much more lean killing machine. Those are some beefy motherfuckers, and they have massive ass teeth, and also 4 eyes.
Yeah.
Like
they're Targons. They're kick ass.
they are. Dear God, I would be terrified to run against her.
Lena So's a baddie.
I was gonna say, also from everything I've heard, I wouldn't want to run against her. She seems like she's doing genuinely good things for the galaxy.
Unfortunately, because of the Nile, they don't always work out. But if you want more of that, you got to read the books. And that's what I'll say to that. But also another fun little thing. It's not really a spoiler, but Lena So's son is gay, and I love him. He's great. He's a cheeky little bastard.
I like it.
There is a scene where he where right before shit kicks off, like shit hits the fan in the Rise of the Storm, he sneaks off of the Republic, like away from the security detail to go hook up. I don't really want to say hook up, but like go on a date with the local planetary mayor's son.
Aw.
And they're cute. They're a cute couple, man. Like I'm not normally a big shipper when I read books, but I was like, damn, I ship those two boys.
That's good. I like that.
One of the things I absolutely love about the LGBTQ representation and just the representation in general is that it's not like he's gay, everybody clap at how representative we are. Like, it's presented as normal. And
it's a normal relationship. There's just 2 men.
Yes. And that is one of my favorite things about the representation in the High Republic is that it's just seen as normal. Like, it's not seen as like, oh, they're gay, so it's special. No, they're just gay. They're just a couple. It's just a boy with a crush. And even though I'm not gay, I found myself relating to Lena So's kid because I've been a boy who is somewhere where he didn't really want to be. He was kind of forced to be there. But dang, there's a pretty girl. And now I'm going to go sneak off with the pretty girl. And after seeing that, I was like, I get it. So huge shout out. I mean, again, I'm not part of any of these groups, so I'm not really there to judge the representation, but I think it's great. I think the representation in the High Republic is done very well.
As an active part of these groups, I will be judging the representation, but you make good notes.
Read the books. And that being said, I truly think these books are worth the read because it's such a fresh perspective and a fresh area of Star Wars. And you don't miss anything by not reading it. But I think if more people read them, I think we would have a much different Star Wars fandom.
I would like that. I don't like the one we have right now.
I think they're great stories with a lot of good setup and a lot of great additions to the lore of Star Wars. And I think that's the biggest thing is that Star Wars lore, especially with the Old Republic, feels pretty stagnant and pretty like, you don't really feel like there's a whole lot of technological progress between the Old Republic and the prequels. But with the High Republic, you can genuinely feel the technological progression. Like, they're not like sticks and stones and shit, but like there's a character that uses a parachute and everyone's like, oh my God, you had a parachute? He's like, yeah, most people don't carry these around anymore, but I'm old fashioned. And it's like,
is that geode?
It is not geode.
Does geode just plummet to the fucking earth?
No, he would die.
Oh, what?
He's not indestructible.
Oh, isn't he made of rocks?
He's a Vintian. Yeah. And if you dropped a rock from really high up, it would break.
Maybe. It might be a really strong rock.
Dang. Do you think Geode is scared of paper?
He might, but he's probably really fucking good at taking down scissors.
Yep. Anyways, I think that is pretty much all I want to say in the High Republic. If you have read it and you've made it to this point in the video, please comment below some of your favorites. I will be starting a support group. And another thing I really want to talk about is Instagram launched a new thing.
Yes, they did.
Twitter clone.
Yes, and my notifications won't shut the hell up about it.
I'm not the biggest fan of Meta, but I hate Twitter more. Should we join? Leave a comment down below. You know what? Maybe we'll put a poll out on Instagram and on YouTube. And if you guys want us to, we will join it and follow us on there. We'll be tweeting. We'll be memeing. It'll probably be me running the account, and I'll be shit posting. It'll be.
I was gonna say it's probably gonna be Dylan running the account because I got my hands full of doing thumbnails in Discord as is.
Absolutely.
Do both
Gabby, we will talk about Threads. What do you think about Threads, Gabby? Do you think it's worth joining? I guess we can kind of jump that into news and rumors because Threads is new. That's a news and rumor.
I mean, yeah, they popped up out of the freaking woodwork. Funny thing that I find.
Zuckerberg's been waiting. He's been waiting. He's been scheming for years.
So the funniest thing is that Twitter made their own downfall with Threads. Because they actively fired. Oh! What?
Once you link your Instagram to Threads, it's permanent. You cannot separate them without deleting your entire Instagram. Oh, interesting.
That's a good point. Okay.
I mean, why would you want to separate them? I'm not really sure I understand. I definitely agree. Be careful with this app, but like, is it like, oh, if I delete the Threads app, I just don't post the Threads anymore? Like, is that how that works?
It's.
Do you know, Gabby? Because I know a lot of social media managers have been freaking out about Threads. I've been seeing a lot of TikToks about it. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of TikToks. No fucking Reels, bitch. TikTok is still better than Reels. Get fucked. I'm just saying. I don't know for how much longer, but Zuck really said, "Give me your data, boy." I think it merges your feeds and contacts by default. I heard that it was it was not by default. That if you accepted it, though, it would just merge your feeds. It would like basically you would follow your same followers. So like I don't think it would change much about us, but I heard information to the opposite. So whoever you follow on Instagram is who you have to follow on Threads and vice versa. So like if I go and follow somebody on Threads, do I also follow them on Instagram?
Well, I did see memes about it was the opening bit of getting to the hub in Spider-Verse, and it was like me seeing all my homies on Threads when I finally joined. So from the looks of it, everybody who you follow on Instagram automatically is followed on Threads. So the two accounts are linked. I don't know.
Yes, I mean, like, I don't personally see an issue with that. I think it's actually kind of nice because if you have a follower base, instead of having to like refine your follower base, you can kind of just build from there.
Yeah, that part is nice.
I think that part is nice, but I also can see the downside of like, yeah, smaller creators kind of still get fucked regardless.
Pretty much. Yep.
And that's why you have to like, comment, share, subscribe. Follow us on Instagram. Join that Discord. All that good stuff.
I manage the Discord. That's why it's deader than the Younglings. I haven't made one of those in years, so I'll take my one Younglings joke. I'll make another one in like 5 years.
Instagram lives are different. I can see that. I can see having a different Twitter versus Instagram feed, but I shit post on Instagram. I'm just that unhinged, boy. Apparently, my cosplay Instagram has been connecting to my Facebook story, which I didn't know was a thing, and that's kind of scary because I don't go on Facebook much. So we're gonna have to unlink that. Anyways, what other news and rumors do we have? I saw there might have been some leaks for some Lego sets, but
Oh,
a lot of
we
Twitter
got a
about
lot. Oh my goodness!
Charlie.
Sorry, that I'm very excited. Hello, Charlie. We are very
I get
happy to have
excited.
you.
That's okay. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
We were just talking about Threads. I guess will Charlie join Threads? Do you have anything you want to say about Threads?
Yeah,
Because we're kind of confused.
We would love to hear your opinion of it thus far. I find the entire Threads situation funny because, so as we all know, the whole fiasco when Elon Musk bought Twitter, he laid off like half of their people. A lot of those people got hired by Meta. And so now Elon is attempting to sue Zuckerberg, or more appropriately, Twitter is attempting to sue Threads for being a copycat and for hiring on people intentionally who had confidential information. And honestly, if you were going to shoot yourself in the foot and then whine about it, you shouldn't have used as big of a gun. That's my whole point.
I agree. I agree with that.
Okay.
We may have to join. Yeah. I'm in the very much screw Elon Musk field. I will say though, did you guys see that like they were trying to fight?
I don't know what was going on there.
Listen, I'm actually a fan of the UFC, and apparently Dana White was there to set it up and like get money for charity. So listen, I don't like Zuckerberg, but I don't like Musk more. So Zuck's gonna kick his ass.
Look, I think we should put them both in a little tube for their fight, and we can take it on a trip down to the Titanic.
Put them in we're putting you in the contraption. We're gonna put you in the thingamajigger.
Cue the SpongeBob Krusty Krab music.
We can't play the music. We'll get copyright struck.
We can't. It happened with.
It happened in 2023. Who knows?
I don't even know anymore. This year is so weird. Okay.
I love that the girls are fighting. I want to see them fight more. Hey Nick.
Holy crap! We got Charlie. We got Nick. Everybody is here.
Let's go.
I'm so happy to have all of you.
Definitely, I would say you guys definitely want to go back and check out the rest of the episode. We talked about the High Republic. I kept it pretty vague and spoiler free. So if you guys are looking to check into it, definitely check it out because I'm currently hyper fixated on the High Republic. It's so cool. It's one of my new favorite eras of Star Wars. It's very unique. It's very refreshing. I guess you could say fast forward to the end. Too long, didn't read. It's a unique perspective on Star Wars that's very refreshing with a diverse cast of characters and a very interesting villain. Okay, so the best place to start is Light of the Jedi. Here, pull up the thing. So
let's pull up
I have
thing.
only read.
That's the Tiger Lady.
So let's go. So this is where you start here. Light of the Jedi by Charles Soule. This is the first book in the High Republic, and it is sort of your jumping off point. So here's what I've done, and I feel like I get a pretty cohesive exploration of the story. So Light of the Jedi is the first. I haven't read much of the Phase 1 comics, so this is only Phase 1. So Light of the Jedi is Phase 1, and that is probably the best place to start. And then I read The Rising Storm next, which is phenomenal. Like, all of these books are really great. Light of the Jedi walks so the rest of the High Republic can run. The first couple of chapters are going to be a little tough. I really like audiobooks, so it wasn't so bad for me. But after we get through like the first couple of introductions, because it jumps around a lot at first, and that can be a little bit frustrating jumping from different perspectives. But once you get from that point, and once what becomes known as the Great Disaster starts, you're in it. you're in for the ride, and you're like, okay, this is great, and now I want to know everything. And so Light of the Jedi, and then I read The Rising Storm, which did not have a problem catching my attention after the ending of Light of the Jedi. It caught my attention and held it. There are some mentions to things that if you don't know, you're going to be a little confused. Like there's mentions of these creatures called the Drengir, but there are some other books in the meantime, and I had enough background knowledge of the High Republic to like kind of know what they are. They're basically murder plants. So there's enough in there to kind of get your attention. So basically the Drengir get mentioned, and then the main villain is going to be the Nile. So then the Rising Storm, and then the Fallen Star. So those are the 3 books that I've listened to. I just finished Fallen Star today, and I am heartbroken. It is one of the, I would say it's probably my current favorite era of Star Wars. I like it a little. I would say High Republic prequels, OT sequels. I know that's basic. I don't care. High Republic is great, and you should definitely read it. There's so many cool characters that we didn't even get to talk about. Like I didn't even get to mention my absolute favorite, Porter Engle. If you pull up a picture of him, I'll be very happy.
Oh, I need a spelling for that.
Porter, Engle. Porter Engle. He is a old retired Jedi warrior who became
He's a space dwarf.
On like an. Yes, he's literally a space dwarf. He's so cool.
Ah, I love this.
Wait
a second. Is he? Those things
built.
on his. Those things on his head. Is he a Deveronian?
He's like he is a Crookie.
Intriguing.
His lightsaber is really cool as well. But
it has a whoosh, that handguard.
He looks like Porter Engle reminds me of he makes me think of like an angel version of Hellboy.
Yeah.
He is one of my favorites. Because he's just so cool. And like all of the other Jedi, like he'll just do some cool shit. And at this point in the story, he's 300 years old. And so think of like your grandpa, like going around doing cool shit. And it's just like, oh yeah, grandpa's doing cool shit again. Everyone's like, whoa, grandpa's doing cool shit. And
it's just like, that's, yeah.
He's just a king, and I love him. And
I like this.
He's got no tact. He has no need for like social like BS. Like he'll just talk to people. And like there's a scene where like he's at like this ceremony and he doesn't want to be there. And like some of the other characters are like, you could be that guy. And I think he was like asleep. He just fell asleep during this like big event because he was old and bored and he didn't want to be awake.
Fair point.
Pull up the pictures. I'm ready. I'm ready to see
the pic.
My boy.
Let's get him.
My king.
Here he is.
Porter
He's
Engle,
also so buff. He is a very buff old man.
This man he's a jacked old man. I think of him as a mixture of like Hellboy and Santa Claus from what was that movie?
Rise of the Guardians.
He gives me like Santa Claus vibes.
He was definitely given some Rise of the Guardians Santa Claus vibes.
He
those specific vibes.
I think like the biggest 3 inspirations for him are Hellboy, that version of Santa Claus, and like Odin.
Yeah.
And he's just a badass. He does cool shit in both of the he's in Light of the Jedi, and he's also in The Rising Storm, but he's also in some of the Phase 2 comics. And the only Phase 2 comics I've read are about Porter Engle, and they're just incredible. He's so cool.
I like him.
He is the sole reason I want a lightsaber like that.
I want a lightsaber like that because I have yet to see a High Republic era lightsaber that I did not want. All of them are so pretty.
They're all beautiful.
And like,
And
I am normally for my Star Wars tech looking a little grungy, a little dirty, a little beat up. But I love how pretty and clean everything is in this era. Like,
absolutely, everything's shiny and beautiful. And like, so the
there's not a
Jedi have
spot of
two
dirt
different
on
types
any
of
of it.
robes. So like Porter Engle's robes are like uniquely his own,
Okay.
but most of the Jedi either wear the white and gold,
Mhm.
or they wear like in Phase 1, they wear like white and gold, or they wear like these like brown like hybrid looking warrior robes, and they're so cool. Hold on, let me see if I can find
Something
a
more like
picture.
this?
Like a little bit, but not quite. Let me see if I can find a picture of like Avar Chris with it. But yeah, like it's just an incredible era. And if anybody ever like wonders where to start, you can always DM me. I can always give you like advice. Like if you want to talk, I'm always here to talk.
I cannot wait to see more cosplayers from this era.
Like, and the best part is like all of the High Republic cosplayers I've seen
Mhm.
are like handmade.
Oh yeah, well, because there's really nothing mass produced out there other than Stellan Gios's lightsaber, which you're seeing in like NeoPixels pretty sparingly though.
Like, so these are like the traveling robes right here.
I mean,
Like, look how beautiful those are.
okay, it's given like kind of Aragorn vibes from like the beginning of Fellowship of the Ring.
Exactly. Like the Jedi Knights in like the Phase 1 era, like
Mhm.
are giving like they're less like space monk, and they're more like actual knights. And
I like the stick.
there's absolutely pull up Nick's comment real quick, because it is truly like the creative freedom of the High Republic is so refreshing. You don't have to there's very few characters that like can be considered to have like plot armor,
Mhm.
and it's so refreshing getting to see characters like actually go out and like do things and like be characters. It's just incredible. And like all of the character growth and development is completely realistic and understandable, and it's just such a beautiful era of Star Wars, and I'm so happy that we're getting more of it, and that we're getting it in live action and the Acolyte, that we've gotten Young Jedi Adventures, and we've gotten Dagon Gera, and showing the dark side of that era. And like, so did you know that in the flashback of Fallen Order, the ships that show up, or not Fallen Order, Survivor, the ships that show up on Tanalorr, those are Nihil ships.
Oh.
And there's actually like very brief, they're called Marauders in the game, but there's like a text that you can find that talks about the Nihil.
Interesting.
And it is incredible. So I definitely recommend the High Republic. You should definitely read it.
Okay.
And I think for me, I really like the audiobooks. I think the audiobooks take it to a whole nother level. So I will be mostly listening to them on Orla Jareni is incredible. Hold on, pull up the Orla is one of my faves.
We're gonna call this episode right Eli is forced to continue looking things up forever.
No, that's Orla right here in the back. Back
okay.
left. With the white
the flippy double blade.
Yes. Orla Jareni is
Jedi Wayseeker.
Yes.
Wait a second.
Oh, I didn't even get to talk about what a Wayseeker
shows up. Isn't she the one in the back on the left?
I think that's her. I don't know. I assume that's her.
But we know it's her up in the top left?
I know it's her in Fallen Star, because she has a very prominent role in that book. But so one of the things that's really cool is that the Jedi, this order, are a lot more open-minded. So like Orla Jareni, she's like, well, I don't want to follow the will of the Council and the Jedi Order. I want to follow the will of the Force. So she goes out and she does her own thing, and that is what a Wayseeker is. So for all you people like, oh my god, Qui-Gon Jinn, Grey Jedi. No, Qui-Gon Jinn would have been a Wayseeker if they were still around. And
I still have the banner for Dylan hating the Grey Jedi.
I love the concept of Grey Jedi. Bro, I like the idea of like being a Wayseeker so much better. But yes, Orla Jareni is incredible, and I love her, and she's amazing. Like I said, I just finished Fallen Star, and she was great in that book. She was so fun, and like, there's like all of the characters are so unique and vibrant, and it's just fun. It's just nonstop fun in an era of Star Wars that has not been explored. And I'll finish my High Republic rant on one final piece, one scorching hot take that I gave to Cosplay Annie, and I will give it to you guys now. Shout out to Annie. The High Republic is better storytelling than the Old Republic.
I would agree with that.
Look at that. Also, somebody asks her how she keeps her robe so white, and she says that she'll never tell. I still think Grey Jedi is a legit concept. You know what, Charlie? When we have the Grey Jedi episode, you're coming on. I want to actively debate on this, and I don't think it's fair for you to just type in the text and me to respond. I want to have a genuine debate on this.
I will happily sit back and eat popcorn during that episode, because that's going to be a good one.
That might be the next episode. She is so cool. I love her. Truly, truly a Sigma. The best.
Well, is it time for me to thumb through the 50 billion news and rumors I have?
Let's hop back in the 50 billion news and rumors. Also, for any Swifties in chat, Speak Now, Taylor's version drops tomorrow. Can't wait. It would be, and I think we'll do a Clone Army episode where we debate Grey Jedi as well. I would debate Grey Jedi as well. So,
ooh, that's okay.
So maybe we'll do a double take crossover episode.
Okay. Well, given that we do have Charlie here, it's only fair that I speak about my first bit of Rey news first. Specifically, that we have a plot synopsis for Rey's new Jedi Order movie. And the synopsis itself reads, set roughly 15 years after Rey's victory over Palpatine at the end of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, the sequel delves into Rey's courageous endeavor to restore the Jedi Order, where she assumes the role of a mentor to two promising young students, a girl and a boy. As her training progresses, it becomes evident that the girl possesses extraordinary abilities destined to emerge as the future leader. And I am very intrigued by this. It is giving a little bit the vibes of... Oh, it's not true? Dang! Well, crap. Okay, well...
Whack.
Then this will be a disprover. Don't believe this theory if you see it out there.
Getting fact checked. Actively fact checked.
Oh, they've not finished writing the script? Dang. Okay, well, I'm glad that I have you here in the chat, though. Because, admittedly, we call it news and rumors for a reason. Some of the stuff is news. Some of the stuff is rumors. It's mostly rumors. But I like talking about it on the show. And so, let's see. I have some fun news about the blunder that is DC's The Flash. So, one of the...
The Flash.
One of the VFX artists has come out and just officially stated that, it was Zach Mulligan said this about working on the VFX for The Flash. If it looks like it was made in a week, it probably was. So, yeah. Oh no, that is not rain on my parade. I'm just glad that I'm not actively sharing misinformation.
Me when I spread misinformation online.
Dylan. Another thing about the Flash, a DC fan illegally uploaded all 2 hours and 24 minutes of the DCEU's Flash on Twitter. It was up. Let's see.
What is content moderation?
It was up long enough to accumulate 1.7 million views. So
Dang, I think I got more than Matt Walsh's documentary.
it may have. I'm not sure.
I sure hope so. Fuck Matt Walsh.
Another interesting thing. Scarlett Johansson has come out and confirmed that her secret MCU project is still in the works, saying it is still happening. Yes, it is still happening, but not currently because nothing is happening right now. We're all sort of in this holding pattern as we wait out the writer's strike and potentially our own guild strike and so on and so forth. Right before the strike, we were in the middle of developing it, and now everything is at a simmer. So I am intrigued because I did not know that there was a secret Scarlett Johansson MCU project. So, like,
this is my friendly reminder every time we mention the writer's strike. Don't cross the picket line.
Don't cross the picket line.
Solidarity forever.
Mm-hmm. I have some interesting news about Venom 3. So, Venom 3, I
It's going to be starring Mark Does the Things.
It might be. Dude, I saw Mark's Venom.
Bro, if you've not
good.
checked out a friend of the show, Mark Does the Things, he just released a video of his new and photos of his new Venom cosplay, and it's incredible. That man is an artist.
Good.
That man is an
so
artist.
Good. If you're new to Under the Helmet, we actively talk about how much we love our friends on this show, and so if you are doing cool stuff, hit us up. We will happily shout you out.
Absolutely.
Let me take a look. So I have interesting potential news about the Fantastic Four. So first of all, it's reported that Marvel Studios has canceled a deal with Adam Driver and Margot Robbie because they were too expensive. It's rumored that they didn't cancel the deal with Margot. We know nothing about the Fantastic Four casting, especially with those two. Reportedly, Joseph Quinn is actually the top pick to play the Human Torch, which I'm okay with because I love that man. He's a delight.
Yeah, they also my negotiations fell through with Marvel because I was also too expensive.
Unfortunately, yes. Dylan was also too expensive.
It wasn't for lack of trying. I said I could have done a double role of been Mr. Fantastic and Sue Storm, and they were like, no. Try to justify the price, and they were like, no. Who are you? Get off of Kevin Feige's front lawn. The hit squad is coming.
Dylan, your pitch for Sue Storm was a blank audition tape. You didn't appear at all, and you just read the lines off screen.
Isn't that cool?
Anyway, a lot's up in the air about.
Isn't that a point of the character?
It was definitely an interesting take. That being said, their lack of callbacks does say things about it.
Nah, it just fell through because it was too expensive. It's all good.
That's fair.
That's okay. They're gonna bring me back later as Victor Von Doom.
I have some interesting Disney news because, as you know, Gabby and I love our Disney. Rogers the Musical is currently playing at the Hyperion Theater in Disney California Adventure in Disneyland, California. If you have the opportunity to go and see it, please tell me how it is. I heard Nick Fury sings, and it's amazing. And I desperately want them to release a version of it on Disney+. I will be heartbroken if they don't.
Dang.
Okay. Captain America Brave New World has officially wrapped filming. So I'm rather excited to see how that comes out. Armor Wars news. Reportedly, Armor Wars is going to be taking the July 25th, 2025 date that was previously just listed as untitled MCU film. And reportedly, the main antagonist of the film will be Val, which all of us expected, and Justin Hammer, which some of us expected.
Nice. We love
And then further MCU news. A new rumor suggests that the end credit scene of The Marvels will involve Kate Bishop showing up to recruit Kamala Khan for either the New Avengers or the Young Avengers. I've heard both name dropped for that
The new
specific
Young
end credit.
Avengers.
The new Young Avengers, the young new unlimited amazing Avengers.
Incredible.
It's like the X-Men. Every once in a while, we'll make a new team and we throw another adjective on there, and you have new X-Men.
And then you'll hear Tom Holland Spider-Man swing by and be like, I just want to sign the brand deal, man.
So I have some interesting news for Superman Legacy. Crypto
Yeah.
the Superdog will appear in Superman Legacy. This was confirmed by James Gunn. This man is just out here posting whatever the hell he wants about his movie, and I honestly really love the openness.
I mean, again, he's like the sole captain running the ship, so I guess he can post whatever he wants. But like, dude, at this point, just make the movie, dog. Just make it. You don't
Right,
have to
just
do
give
that.
us the movie. Please give us the movie, and also more than
Bro,
just your
should
Superman
tweet
and
the
Lois.
entire
costume.
script out on Twitter just for funsies.
Here's the script for Superman Legacy. Take it or leave it.
Yeah. Also,
Um,
speaking of Superman Legacy, didn't they cast Superman and Lois Lane?
They did. I forgot that happened in the midst of last week, us delaying our episode. Yes, let me get the exact names.
They look pretty good. I will say this though. Snyder fans, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. He's not Henry Cavill. Move on.
But yes.
She's not the chick from the Muppets. Let it go.
So David
her name?
Cornswet
Amy
has
Adams?
been cast as our Superman and Clark Kent, and Rachel Brosnahan, I believe that's how you say her name.
Yeah,
I'm
Brosnan?
terribly sorry. Brosnahan?
Brosnan, I think.
Brosnan?
But
Rachel
isn't
Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan, isn't he an actor?
Yes, because that's
I guess
Dr.
it-
Fate. Rachel Brosnan is our new Lois Lane. I'm incredibly excited. I know very little of their acting repertoire. Nonetheless, absolutely stoked. In
They
addition to
look the
that,
part.
we have another Superman project that premieres tonight. That being My Adventures with Superman, which is following Clark Kent, Jimmy Olsen, and Lois Lane in a much more anime style as interns for the Daily Planet. I'm ridiculously excited for this. Jack Quaid is voicing Superman, which I think is going to be absolutely delightful. I will definitely be watching it the day after when it comes out on HBO Max, or it's just called Max now. So I think that's
They're
going to be
waiting,
delightful.
Peacock.
And last final pieces of news. Despite Marvel Studios not going to be making an appearance at San Diego Comic-Con, Marvel's Spider-Man 2 will be, and I'm very excited because I love that game, and I cannot wait to hear that Black Cat is not dead, because if she is, I will be crying in that corner behind me for approximately 1 week's time. Anyway, I don't believe she's dead. I don't believe she is. Last two
She
pieces
died.
of news. Last piece of news. I saved my personal favorite for last. Ernie Hudson has confirmed that Ghostbusters Afterlife 2, as people are calling it, because we haven't actually received a title for the film. It was called Firehouse. It was going under the working title Hell's Kitchen. It's wrapped filming. So the movie is done. It's wrapped. Currently, they're just doing edits and, quote, whatever else. I've heard rumors the end of the year they'll push for, or maybe spring next year. So originally we had this movie set for, I believe it was actually December 24th of this year. I wouldn't be surprised if they push things out till spring, especially with the ongoing writer's strike, which of course do not cross the picket line, as we said before. But that is all my news and rumors. I am sorry it took nearly half an hour. That is everything.
Oh, also, there's a new Star Wars book coming out July 18th.
There is?
It is Inquisitor, Rise of the Red Blade. It is an adult novel by Delilah Dawson. It is about the Inquisitor from the Darth Vader comics and how she becomes an Inquisitor.
Oh, the Red Lady.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So it says it follows Scott and Karis, a Jedi survivor, Order 66, who turns to the dark side, joining the Inquisitors with hope of uncovering the truth of her past. We will watch her journey as a Jedi Padawan to a Jedi Knight during the Clone Wars and how she became an Inquisitor. That's intriguing.
I like the sound of that. 'Cause
So
I feel
we
like
get some Inquisitor lore. Let's go.
I feel like the most we get is of Inquisitors is I was a Jedi. Order 66 happened. I got a red lightsaber and Darth Vader cut off one of my arms. Like, we got a little bit more than that with Reva. We got next to nothing with the Grand Inquisitor. I'm not even sorry to say that. We really
Grand
did not
Inquisitor
get-
fell to the dark side because Jocasta Nu said he couldn't check out a library book.
Yeah, pretty much. That's the
That is
most that we
bizarre.
got.
That is his arc. Also, she kicks his ass in the comics. So.
She does. Doesn't she pull out the lightsaber gun on him?
No, that's on Vader.
Okay, cool. I wasn't sure if that was on Vader or Grand Inquisitor.
But yeah,
But
with that being said,
that is stream, everybody.
thank you everybody for joining another episode of the I was gonna say the High
Of the
Republic.
High Republic.
Thank you for joining another episode of Under the Helmet Podcast. If you like what you see here today, don't forget to like, comment, share, and of course, subscribe to Under the Helmet Podcast. Share this with your friends, your enemies, your lovers. Rewatch the stream afterwards if you've missed it. If you are watching afterwards, hi. If you made it this far, please leave a comment down below telling us you made it. Read the High Republic. It's really good.
It is really good.
Join us on Instagram. Follow that Discord. All that good jazz. With that being said, have a good night. We are all the Republic. May the Force be with you. And we go for light and life.
Bye, everybody. Thank you to Charlie and Nick for showing up. We love you guys.
Thank you, Charlie and Nick. Bye, guys.
Bye. Is it a bad idea for me to go lightsaber shopping right now? Like, it's payday. I am riding a high of cash. Wait, can Gabby still hear us?
And the same way.